Hey guys, I want to show you what a family looks like. And I want to question the narrative that we've been hearing over and over again, that Christopher Watt's parents somehow didn't treat his wife good enough. I think it's total baloney. And I think it's really sad that that narrative is being promoted all over social media. Because in fact, I think it was Christopher Watt's parents where his wife found comfort and support and love. Whatever was going on in her mind during her meltdown at his parents' house had absolutely nothing to do with what was going on at the time in the house, or what had been going on for the last 8 years, or for almost 3 decades before that in her life. Christopher Watt's parents loved their son, and they did a good job raising their son. And they also loved their daughter-in-law, and they were excellent in-laws to her. Did they have to walk on eggshells? Probably. We've watched the videos and we've read her comments. It sounds like they weren't the only ones walking on eggshells in her life. But whatever she had going on in the last month of her life was hers and hers alone. And I don't think it had anything to do with any girlfriend. I don't think it had anything to do with any supposed physical illness. And I don't think it had anything at all to do with any supposed allergies. I definitely don't think it had anything at all to do with her husband's family. I think she needed help. And sadly, after her death, I think people are finding it easier to ignore the obvious from all of those videos and her Facebook rants and her text messages. They're finding it so much easier to ignore the obvious and to keep pretending away what perhaps they ignored when she was alive. Poor little Bella and Celeste were murdered by one of their parents in what should have been the safety of their own home. So for all of you people who are running around social media attacking those of us who care about what exactly happened to poor little Bella and Celeste, I want you to know that your attacks prove that you really don't care about anyone. What you really seem to care about is trying to force a false narrative in order to keep secret all of the negative that has come to light. By attacking other people, you show that it isn't kindness or empathy that you hold in your heart. It's bitterness and anger and perhaps guilt. If you don't want to hear what we have to say on this channel with our discussion of this true crime case, then get the hell out of here. It's that simple. Let's take a look at how close Christopher Watts' wife actually was with her mother-in-law and with her father-in-law and with her sister-in-law too. Oh, also, do you know how the false narrative is saying how Christopher Watts was distant from his family when he went to North Carolina? According to his wife's strange texts to all of her weird online friends and all of her messages on Facebook, her big F you to her mother-in-law, her big, actually, I would call it a public meltdown to people who, some of whom had never even met her husband, had never met him, and yet they were ready to call the police to give their opinion of what went on leading up to the tragedy. And they were always ready to give his wife their opinion on how she should be treating him. Well, the false narrative was that Christopher Watts was distant and cold. And just like the false narrative that his wife was mistreated by his family, the little story that he was distant or cold is also just a bunch of baloney. He flew into North Carolina and he spent that vacation with his children, with his wife, and with his family. He wasn't detached, he wasn't cold, he wasn't distant. But for some reason, his wife needed to convince all of her online buddies that he was. What was she planning? What was she setting the stage for? And why, after her death, are there people so hell-bent on pretending that any of that baloney was true? I want you to notice a couple of things about this photo. Look at how happy Bella looks. And compare that with all of those videos and all those photos where she looks downright miserable and sad and upset and even crying while her mother was laughing at her and making her cry. Also notice her curly hair. Why on earth was Bella's hair chopped short? Why? Could it be that that curly hair was too beautiful to compete with? If you have any training or education in psychology, I think you might know what I'm talking about. I don't know how many men you know who are distant and cold, who are right down on their hands and knees building sandcastles with his preschool-age children. And take a look, it looks like Mimi is close by. Look at that smile. Clearly, it seems that it wasn't Christopher Watts or the children who had issues going on that week. Look who's always standing close by, ready to help his children, maybe climb up on the toy or get a drink or have some ice cream. He understands what it is to take care of children. And the children clearly understood that they could go to their father for help. Think about the video when Cece was hanging off the counter. Think about the videos where Bella was saying she was hungry. Think about the video when Bella was getting doused right in the face, right in her eyes, while her mother sat there laughing and saying, "This is why we had kids." He's right in the pool with the children, just like he was right in the ocean with the children and right in the dirt building sandcastles with the children. He wasn't being distant or cold. I think somebody was truly setting the stage for whatever it was she had planned. And sadly, it seems that whatever she had planned meant that she would be depriving Christopher Watt's family of having their son and their granddaughters in their lives. Look at that curly hair. Why on earth did she have to keep it short? Especially when we know from all those Facebook comments that she really wanted to have long hair. So why did she have to keep having it cut off? Take a look at this picture, you guys. Come on. Face the facts. Christopher Watt's mother was not part of the problem. She was the scapegoat for the problem. Ask yourself who the person was who his wife wanted to be there with her children when she traveled. It was her mother-in-law, that's who. And her father-in-law, too. And with good reason. Because obviously she knew that with her mother-in-law and her father-in-law, that her babies would be taken care of, they'd be safe. This is not the mother-in-law from hell. This is the mother-in-law who would fly hundreds of miles to be supportive and loving and kind to her daughter-in-law. Take a look at this happy little girl. This is little Bella, the day that they went to the zoo. With her Mimi and Papa. And her mommy and daddy too, and even her baby sister who was just 4 days old. It was so soon after the baby was born that her daddy had to push her mommy in a wheelchair all around the zoo that day. There's little Miss Bella with her Mimi. Take a look out the window. I wonder who that is sitting there, probably outside having a smoke. Here little Bella is at the pool with her mommy and her Mimi. Mommy's sitting at the edge of the pool, and Mimi's right in the water. Look at how happy she is, and look at how happy her mommy is. There's no doubt about it. Christopher Watt's wife enjoyed spending time with her mother-in-law, and rightly so. Gym time with bells. Mimi and Daddy going to play with her. Bella enjoyed her first movie today. She sat between Mimi and her mommy the whole time. This is Christopher Watt's grandmother, who he was allowed, he was given permission by his wife, post nut meltdown, to take the girls to see his grandmother. Look at that love, look at those hugs, and look at those smiles. This is love. This is the family that welcomed Christopher Watt's wife. Maybe they didn't love her at first, and maybe they had no reason to, except for the fact that they knew that Christopher Watts did. But they did love her, and they did support her, and they did treat her with respect, even when she had her nut meltdown. And they surely loved little Bella and Celeste. After they were through with their visit with Christopher Watt's grandmother. He actually asked his wife for permission to take Bella and Cece with him to see his parents one last time before they flew back to Colorado. And his wife responded with a capital N-O. It wasn't Christopher Watts or his mother or his father or his grandmother or his sister who didn't know how to be in a loving family. They had a loving and supportive and respectful family. And they included his wife. Whatever her issues were, whatever her problems were, they loved her anyway. And maybe she just didn't know how to accept what they had to offer.